This is an Ellis Mowers and More small engine repair. Stay connected on Instagram and Facebook at Ellis Mowers and More. Comments or questions? Leave them below or email me, ellis@ellismowers.com. Parts used in today's repair are found using the links in the description below. And as always, like and subscribe for more small engine content. On today's repair video, we're going to look at this Kohler powered Toro Recycler. It's front wheel drive, self-propelled push mower here. And I've already started working on it a little bit. I got this on a trade. It's kind of a two-part trade with, in the same day, I sold a Boland's big wheel regular push mower, and I think I got this plus $60. So I had the Boland's listed for $100. Most people usually will knock me down to $80. So I figured for what I've got into it, why not try it out? So far, what I have had to do is replace the pull rope mechanism. If I can find it in the trash can, I'll show you what it looked like before. But basically, all of the mounting points had fallen off of it or broken off of it. I don't know what they did, but it wasn't very good, whatever they did, to try and remedy that situation. It was a no-start situation when I got it. I have sprayed once I put that in, I sprayed some carb spray into the throat of the carburetor, and it's now running on starter fluid. I found that the self-propel wasn't working. That was the simple fix that I will show you all next. What I'm going to do, this thing looks fairly rough. However, everything works on it. Hopefully we just have to get a carb clean on it at this point, and just cleaning it up really nicely. I think I may have this mower already sold if I can get it fixed, so we'll see. But just figured I wanted to bring y'all along for the ride. A little low on content right now, just kind of filming them as I need them, and I figured this would be a good candidate. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll show you what I've done already and what we're about to do as well. I don't get a lot of Kohlers in here, so this has been interesting. May have had like a couple of Lawn Boys and maybe one of these with a Kohler come through, but apart from that, I've not really had any Kohler push mowers. So the pull rope mechanism, this was already broken, but unfortunately they had tried to get these nuts out, and I actually had stripped the nuts, so I couldn't get them off. So what I ended up having to do is kind of having to break this a little bit to get everything off. I was able to keep everything intact so that I could put this back on properly. However, this brand new pull rope recoil was winding itself inside the spring here, so I had to take that off not once but twice, and ended up opting to put a little bit thicker pull rope on it. That's a little bit shorter, and I haven't had that issue since, thankfully. I think it was just because it needed to be stretched out. But again, went with a thicker pull rope. We don't need to be having mowers come back on us. So this, luckily, you know, a lot of these are missing this. So this had it. It was a complete mower. Again, Toros sell well, even when they're a little beat up, and I figured this wouldn't be any different. I found a bag for it as well. It didn't come with a bag, but I have one here, so that's a plus also. And the self-propel, let me turn y'all on the side here, and I'll show you what happened with the self-propel. Air filter looks pretty rough. We're going to replace that, so that's not that big of a deal. Self-propel, the handle was a little loose, so I tightened it. All you have to do there is a 7/16 nut, back it out, and then pull this up a little bit, and now we've got nice tight self-propel. I looked under the mower blade is in okay shape. We'll be able to sharpen it we've got decent lift still left on the gator blade here. And the only thing that was wrong with the self-propel was that the belt had slipped off of this back pulley and slipped up into the crankshaft. So I was able to pull this bracket down, because good luck on trying to take those rusty screws or rusty bolts off, or the engine mounting bolts. We're not going that far with this. I was able to bend this down, slip it back on, and bend it back up, and now everything's back where it needs to be. Obviously we need to sharpen the blade, or maybe I have one that's a little bit better here, but we'll see. This is a little beat up, but it'll probably be fine. So like I said, we're a little rough here, but let me get some carb spray and I'll show you that it at least runs, and the self-propel drives on that. Didn't mean to hit it that hard, sorry. So that's a positive. It almost smells like I can smell water in the tank. So I'm going to just tilt it on its side. We're going to work on this, maybe even get it on my bench so that y'all can get a good view. And I think we got to drain the gas out of it, because I think there's a bunch of water in it from what I can smell. Carb bowl and carb clean next. Okay, I've got it on the bench here. You can see that this has had some oil seepage. Again, it could just be over time. A couple of 10 millimeters. This thing looks like it's bubbled out, almost like it got hot at one point. So that's not ideal. There should be a third 10 mil right here. Or maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. It doesn't look like it. I don't know, it's almost like they just tightened the mess out of it. I may just grab a washer or something whenever I put it back on. So it looks like there's two tubes here that are hooked in to this. One of them is the breather, and the other, I guess, is fuel tank return. So that means this is a new-ish model. So 20370. And alright, so we've got this spring is off. So somebody's been up in here trying to fix something about it, and wasn't very successful. So alright, so let's see, we got everything here. So that little diaphragm is gonna pull in the choke thermistor, whatever you want to call it. So let me pull this throttle all the way out, lift that up. So the spring wasn't even hooked up there. And then we have fuel line, so I need to clamp the fuel line off. I really think there's just a bunch of water in this fuel. Let's see. Grab a small screwdriver. I'm going to pull this out. Hopefully. Very easily. Okay. Yeah, that's just straight water. You see the beads right there? I don't know if you can see it very much. Let me see if I can grab a glass or something. We're going to drain all the water out of this. Not a ton in there, at least, from what I can tell. There's enough, though. I mean, that in itself is enough to show you all that this is all water. So, nothing crazy. We could just let it drip down into that while we do this. So this is one of the harder things to do because you've got to get this choke arm off without breaking it. So we're going to do that. Let's see if we can just wedge it off like this. Come on now. So that's the next big step we've got to accomplish here, is getting that off. Because if we can get that off, then everything comes with it. And then we can just take the carb up to the bench up there. Yeah, it seems like it wants to move. See if I can just knock it from the back here. It's always that one thing, ain't it? There we go. All right, so you can see we have a ton of water here. I'm hoping there may not be that much water in here, but we do at least need to drain everything out. So I'm going to take it over to the bench and we're going to give it a look. I already kind of have a bad feeling about what's going to come out of this based on what I already see. Get y'all a little bit closer so that I can see it. I've got it on the dirty carb plate here. You can see rust. Oh no. Needle and seat seems free though, so that's good. How bad is it? I don't think it's been sitting all for very long. Ugh. Oh man. Already had enough machines fighting battles with me this morning, so. Okay, so we're there. We've got that knocked off. We'll just pull that up. It should come off. Oh man. Luckily, it's just a bunch of surface rust, thankfully. So that's ideal. I'll hit up some carb spray, and then I'm just gonna throw this in the ultrasonic and let it go to town, because that's probably going to be the ideal situation when it comes to this. And because, like I said, I think it was running at the beginning of the season and they let it sit out, and then they tried to get it to run again and it wouldn't run again for obvious reasons. So like I said, I'm just going to take everything apart, take the jet out of it if I can, and then we're just going to see what we have to do with it. One thing you don't want to forget is to take this top jet off, so we're going to do that as well. I've got the needle and everything just on the bottom right of your screen. Kind of gave everything a little bit of a pre-soak or a pre-spray, So in order to get that top jet out, what you have to do is take that off, that screw off that I just did, and then you just take a flathead screwdriver and pry under the little black piece that you see. This is actually a common jet type. Honda carbs use them, Kohler carbs use them. I think some of the power mowers might as well. I'm not sure. I don't work on them enough to know really. But you just pry it up, and that opens that up. So you have access to that as well. I don't know if this one's blocked, but we're going to unblock it. Come on. So it is not blocked, so that's good. Or at least it wasn't. So I'm going to take all these parts and pieces. I'm going to wipe off this carb a little bit here, or wipe off this float a little bit. I'm just going to put all this stuff in the ultrasonic cleaner for 20 to 30 minutes, and that should help wipe the remaining rust out of it, open up all the jets again, and hopefully that's all we got to do to this. Sometimes I like to see just a minor layer of surface rust over corrosion, but this was starting to become that if it was going to stay like that, because they had a bunch of water in the tank. So we'll see what it looks like when it comes out of the ultrasonic. While the ultrasonic is cooking over there, what I have done, pardon the oily gunk still, I like to get them running before I clean them up, just to see, number one, if they run, number two, if there's any problems that are exhibited. But I've taken the fuel tank off. It's 2 bolts that are on the back of the fuel tank, and then there's a third one on the bottom. Now the third one is attached to a bracket that also attaches to 2 more bolts right here. Now those 2 bolts you don't have to take off. Now what I did is I took the gas tank out and I just sprayed some carb spray down it. Now you have to take the breather line off, or the vapor line off, and then the actual fuel line off as well. You'll see how to do that when it pulls out. It pulls out of these grommets. There's your 2 lines. This line actually has a fuel filter in it, and the fuel filter goes in like this. So I took the fuel filter out, sprayed some carb spray through it as well. When we put the tank back on here in just a second, we'll slide that up through the inlet of the fuel line of the gas tank, put this back on, and then we'll be in business again. So I think it's already dried enough. You can see where the water was in the tank right there. I don't see any water coming out of it now, so I'm going to get y'all set up and I'll show you how to at least put it back on. Couple of 10 millimeters will get us on again. I'm going to go ahead and attach the lines back. So there's the vapor line, the return line, and then we have the main fuel line here that I think if y'all saw, I just slid the fuel filter back up into. And just take my pliers and clamp everything back down where it's supposed to be. Just like that. Alright, so now we'll slide this in. That slides underneath the back shroud there. It is a little difficult to slide. We'll see if we can get it though. Gotta get everything positioned right. Okay. Now we take the bolts. Gonna try not to cross thread them here. Ugh. Y'all always got that one bolt, right? Always that one bolt. I'll get this one bolt back on so that y'all won't watch me struggle. Once the carb finishes, we'll slap it on and hopefully it will run pretty good then. I will show you how to put these Kohler linkages back on because they can be a little bit tricky. But I've done a few and I think I've got it figured out at this point. Got it out of the ultrasonic. It looks a lot better. A lot better. I had to do a little bit of scuffing around this area, but I think we're going to be in good shape. I'm going to go ahead and put the bowl back on. So needle and seat, locking pin, bowl. Let's see, how do we want this? If the carb is going to go like this, we want that to be like that, okay? So let me grab the 10 mil. I'll tighten that back down before I put it on. Now, top jet goes back in. Come on now. I'm doing it without trying to take that bracket off right there. Alright, top jet is back. Can we get it back in? Kind of stuck right there for some reason. And we'll put the screw back in. That top jet's not all the way in yet. It's kind of weird. This thing just wants to fight with me. We're back in now. I think I had it in. It just didn't feel like it was. Next, so one thing that you don't see on the machine right now is this. Now this is the little armature for the choke. It's got the little thermistor and all that stuff on it. So now what we're going to do is put that back on. And we just slid it over the top of that. And now we're going to take the T15 screws here. I don't want to put this in the ultrasonic just to not damage it and get it waterlogged, because I'm hoping that it works still. Okay, we've got that one in. And we're going to work on the second one here. Boom. Now with the carb clean and the tank clean, in theory, this should run again. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Okay, so everything is back on with the tube here as well. Kind of a tight fit with this. Alright, so that's essentially back on as well. We'll clamp it down. There we go. So now we're back, ready to go back on the mower. Now this is where it can get tricky if you're not careful, because you don't want to put the carburetor back on before you put the choke back in on the top here. Now this is going to go up here, and it slides in just like so, and we should be able to slide it in to place now. Oh, something ain't right here. I'm putting it on backwards. I am putting it on backwards. Wow. And we're just going to slide this choke into place. And it goes this way. So it goes like that, and then you put this choke arm in like so. Alright, hopefully y'all saw that, or were able to see that. I did my best. Keep my hands out of the way, and then this little piece right here goes through that bracket, and then you just push that little armature back in, and you've got everything for your choke is back like it needs to be, hopefully. Now we will take and put the throttle back in, which you can do right there, and then we're going to put the missing link in, which is the spring. And there's a little hole on the throttle plate that the spring goes into. And we got it in. We're going to connect our fuel line. And then once we put the mounting plate back on, we're going to connect everything else. So I feel like there's a gasket missing here. Maybe it's just because this is all bent out of shape, which is kind of unfortunate. But I'll screw this in, put the air filter back on. We do have to put the breather tube as well as the vapor tube, or the exhaust gas return tube to the tank in. And I'm just going to put these 3 bolts in, the air filter, we'll see if this thing starts up after I throw some gas in it as well. All right, let's see if it'll start. The choke isn't all the way closed right now, but maybe it's closed enough. We'll see. I think I have an intake leak on the back side because I can see the spray coming out. So let me work on that a little bit, see what I find, and I'll let you know, and we'll try this again here in a minute. Alright, so I did not have the main jet clear, and so what I did is I tilted the mower on its side, took the bowl off, took a wire and ran it up through the middle of the jet. I also took this air filter cover off because it's causing an air leak at the back, and so I wanted to make sure that that wasn't the issue, and it wasn't. So given all of that now, let's see if I can crank this up and the choke works properly and all that stuff. So that's a plus. It just is backfiring a little bit whenever you cut it off. But so now what's left for me to do, I wonder if I've got another air filter cover like this. If I do, then I think I just need to put that air filter cover on, change this one out. I'm going to experiment to see what I can find, and then if I can find another air filter cover and a couple of them little spacer washers or spacers, and that's probably the route that I'm going to go. So let me look and see in my hoard to see what I've got and see what I can come up with. There's a little friend that came out of it. And the good news is I did not get bit by it, but I have more good news. I found one of these. And so the thing is with that other one is it was missing them spacers in there. So what they did is they tightened everything down and started warping the air filter cover. So now I'm going to put these in, and hopefully what that'll allow us to do, I have to hook up the tubes again here, the breather. And I also have the air filter cover, and we just need to make sure it'll run like this again. got a little piece on it as well. We'll hook that up. We'll put that third bolt in back here on the back. I'll put an air filter on it, clean everything up, sharpen the blade, change the oil. We'll be done with this mower, hopefully. The only thing is I just need to make sure that the choke operates like it's supposed to, which basically means I just need to let it sit overnight and wait until the morning. I put a little too much faith in this Toro when it came to this handle right here. The steel finally broke off of the cable here. You can either recable it. This cable actually has some damage down here already in the sheathing and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find another cable, or if I need to, I'll wire an on-off switch this. Whatever it will take to make this reliable again. So let me do that, and then we'll give it a final look. We have already cleaned it. I may shine this up a little bit because it is very, very faded on the deck, and that'll help bring a little bit more money as well. Well, there it is. I gave it the transmission fluid treatment. Looks a lot shinier now, which is really good. Again, this mower's really not in that bad of shape, all things considered. Obviously the wheels are a little worn on the front, but that's all right. I found another cable. I had to knot it up a couple of times to shorten it a little bit, which is just a quick way that I do that. And we're opening and closing like we should now, so that's good as well. The bag on it, we still have the little kind of little striper brush guard deal on the back still. The self-propel works. It starts on the first pull. Can't ask for much better. Now, what I did to make it start so easy after I swapped this out is there's a top jet in here, and I think I showed that to y'all earlier in the video. I took that top jet out, and that jet is super small on there. A lot of times on these machines that have these type of carburetors, especially if they're trying to surge up and down a little bit, I will jet it out with a micro drill bit set with like a 3.5 thousandths micro drill bit, and that almost always solves the surging issue. As long as you don't have an air leak on any of the gaskets in the carburetor, then you're probably golden. Let me show you a final start of this thing. Here, after the RPMs get situated, it runs great. Self-propel. Self-propel is very strong. It's one of the strongest self-propels I've had in a while. I do need to adjust the ground wire or something a little bit, because it doesn't want to turn off all the time. I don't know exactly where that is, but I might see if I can find it real quick. We'll see if it goes again here. seems fine now, so that's good. Pretty nice though, ain't it? So this is the second. I had 2 trades in the same day. This is the second one of them. This is less than a week later, and was able to already get both of them turned around. We'll see if I trade this one for yet another machine here coming up. Like I said, we'll see what happens with it, but I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. It looked a little rough when I first got it. Originally I was just gonna think that I may just have to put a pull rope assembly on it, and it turns out that I had to do a little bit more. That's why I let y'all join along for the ride. So what we started off with was a green Boland's push mower that had big wheels in the back with a Briggs & Stratton classic engine on it. It was a 2012 model year, pretty good shape. I listed it for $100. I got the entire lot of machines for $80. That included 2 riders and 2 push mowers. So that's where we started with. I got this plus $60 for that Boland's. So we're basically paid for that lot, and I still have the 2 riding mowers out here to fix. So, or take parts off of. I have the third push mower or the second push mower as well that I could do stuff with. So we got this. We put the pull rope assembly on it. That was about $15. I'll link that in the description. We had to basically just put the self-propel belt back on. It had slipped off of the main crankshaft pulley, and so we put the belt back on, just slid it back on, and put the guard back in its place. Everything seems to be running fine with that now. Sharpen the blade, change the oil, replace the air filter, put a different air filter housing on it, which I had here in-house, so no cost on that because they had messed the other one up. Carb clean and the ultrasonic cleaner, and we had to drill out the top jet or the idle jet in the carburetor, and we've got a machine. We also had to put a new bail cable on it. We now have a machine that starts on the first pull, self-propel works, looks pretty good, been fully serviced and ready to go for the next person. And I may already have a buyer lined up for it. She's looking for a self-propel push mower because she said her Boland's push mower has had issues with the pull rope breaking on it. So we'll see what that may entail, and this series may continue on. So we started with, 2 regular big wheel push mowers. We traded up each of them to 2 self-propel push mowers, and now we're going to see if we can trade this one for another push mower. I love trades. Just make sure you're making good trade deals and you can help compound your profits. And I think we have done that with this machine, and it's turned out really good. A Toro self-propel usually sells pretty easily. With this condition, it's probably around $140 or so, maybe $150, and we'll see what we end up getting on it. Thanks again, guys, for watching, and I will catch y'all on the next video. Take care.